always starts out with me waiting for it to load. Waiting for it to load. Waiting. Hold. Do you see it yet, Katie? Okay, because I don't. So, oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay, so tonight we have Two Queens on a Couch, part 2. My good friend RuPaul is joining me. Hi, honey.
Hi.
It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, first of all, how great was that show last night?
We went to see Mike's second time, your second time
Yes,
too.
Something
we went
Rotten.
to Something Rotten on Broadway, which is closing in January.
Yeah, if you have a chance to see it, you really have to see it.
So funny, so
my gosh.
irreverent. And I told her about 3 months ago I came out of the closet as a Broadway queen. Yes. I had never, let me tell you. Okay. I just had always thought of the Broadway thing as being really precious. Because there are Broadway people who are very, even in high school when I went to a theater in high school, the head theater student, they always spoke in those hushed, those, very
like
precious.
Everything is Shakespeare.
Yes. Well, darling, I was doing 12th night in Poughkeepsie. Picture us. They're that way they talk. You know what I mean?
It brought down the house.
Brought down the house.
Brought down the house. Standing ovation.
Standing ovation. Let me set the scene. It's that kind of thing.
It's like you live in a Glee episode.
Yeah. And I just never wanted to be. And then Michelle Visage and I were talking, who is another Broadway queen, like yourself.
Yes, we bonded.
Yes. And we were talking about Broadway, and she was saying, well, you saw so-and-so. I said, yeah, I saw that. The song, the writers from so-and-so? She goes, yeah, I know that. During this conversation, I realized I am a theater queen. I am a show queen. I don't know all the songs like you know.
I know.
You know all of the songs.
Sometimes, last night, during the songs, I would just lean over and sing part of it with them to Rue, and it made him so happy.
I love it. I just can't remember lyrics. Even songs that I write, I can't remember the lyrics to them. I just can't.
Of course, I bought the soundtrack
Right.
as I was leaving the theater, because that's a little something that I started doing, years ago, because I'm old, before we downloaded it.
Right. And you bought it the first time you saw it.
Yes.
Right.
And if I like it and it's a musical, then I'll buy the soundtrack as I'm leaving the theater. And so, I had it in my car and I would sing along with it. And oh my gosh, it was the best. And then it was so much fun because I was there, of course, with Rue.
Yeah.
And, George, and you guys are fabulous. And Katie was with us, and the 4 of us were there. And someone from the theater came down beforehand and, of course, knew Rue and that he was there and everything. And so afterwards we got to go backstage. And meet the cast, and they were all so excited, and they all took pictures with Rue, and it was so much fun.
It's a great show. Listen, do yourself a favor. If you're going to be in New York at any time, go and see Something Rotten. Now, you told me that the songwriters wrote another show.
I think the songwriters are the same guys who were involved with Book of Mormon.
That would make sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I would have to look it up, but as I recall, I think that's what they are. But it's so clever and so funny, and they fully commit, because you know how if it's really, really silly and over the top, you have to commit, because if you're at all hesitant, it's awkward.
Yeah.
And they commit. I mean, they just have the best time. I mean, you can just tell that they're having so much fun up there. And that last number, I mean, the wheels come off the bus. I was laughing so hard. I think I may have deafened a few people near me. I mean, they refer to so many other Broadway shows, and they bring in, allusions to different Broadway shows, and a line from this, and a tune from that, and a reference to that, and a costume from that, and then it just, oh my gosh, it was hysterical.
Yeah, that's right, because even if you're not a Broadway person, and this is a show that I feel proud to say I would see it 100 times if I could. It was my second time seeing it. But if you're not a Broadway person and you think, if you felt like I felt, like everything is all so precious and everything, this is the show to see. It's irreverent, it's wacky.
And it's not, the Sound of Music.
Right.
And I love the Sound of Music because I love pretty much all Broadway. But
well, I was telling Katie other reasons I didn't want to be known as a Broadway thing, because I'm not a big fan of those songs where it says, she just crossed her legs, she's holding an iPod. I'm not a big fan of that.
Sing.
Yeah. Give me a song.
Yeah.
Does a melody cost a little extra?
Yeah.
What?
I believe it's pronounced miserable.
That's one of the lyrics from the show. So funny and so irreverent. It's right up my alley.
Oh my gosh,
I love it.
It's the best.
But it closes in January
yeah.
of 2017. Yes.
Yeah.
But
So
this is
you have
live,
to
so I
stay.
don't have to reference what time.
Right.
Will this live on the interweb or what they call the World Wide Web?
Yes.
So it lives forever.
It's very webbed. It's
Okay.
very world, and it's very wide.
The World Wide Warped is what it is.
Yes. And it'll be on my Facebook page.
Okay.
And we'll put it on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
And, it'll just be there.
Yeah.
Which will be awesome. By the way, I always want to say hello to the first person who said hi.
Oh, who is it?
So, Sally Holland. Hi, Sally. Sally Holland said hi.
It's a great name. That's a
Alexandria-
great stage name, Sally Holland.
It is. Do
Yeah.
you think she made it up for stage?
Maybe.
Because I always thought if I'd given it thought, I would have made up a much better stage name.
This is your real name? Your real name is that?
Oh,
that's a great.
so boring.
No. It's a great name, and it looks good written down. But and RuPaul is my real name. If I were smart, I would have named myself something else, because what people don't understand is that your name appears on all the papers everywhere, and you really don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah,
you go to
for security, I would
for
have.
security. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would have changed it. By the way, Carla down here said that I'm completely wrong on the writers of Something Rotten. So please look that up, because I really am not sure. I just know that they're awesome.
But they're similar. The shows are similar. It's an easy mistake because both shows are very irreverent and so much fun, so much
quick.
laughter. Actually, I saw things in it the second time that I didn't see. Yeah.
Yeah, so we went up on stage afterward, and I even asked one of them, hey, that one thing in the final number, did you guys add that? And they said, no, it was always there. I'm going, how did I miss that the first time? How did I miss chimney sweeps dancing across the stage?
Yeah.
And they said, everybody says that there's so much going on that everybody says when they come back, every time they come back and see it, they see something different. But I really want to see it once more before it closes.
I want to see it again, too.
Yeah.
Want to go together?
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. Actually, from the opening number.
Oh my gosh, it was so great.
Welcome to the Renaissance. Da da da. See, I don't remember the lyrics. You know the lyrics. Da da da.
Oh yeah. Yes, we're fancy. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
It's hysterical.
You know what we realized walking home last night is that the melody takes on the Addams Family at one point. Da 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 da.
Oh, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it goes. Welcome to the Renaissance. Da 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 da. That's from the Addams Family.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical.
Yeah.
That's hysterical. Okay, so we have so many great things to talk about tonight, and one of the things you're going to get the chance to ask RuPaul some questions.
Okay.
That's what we have this for.
Sure.
Also, by the way, I know that my website was down for a while today. Quite concerning. It wasn't actually us. It was.
It was me. I'm sorry. You know what? I thought it was the remote control. I wanted to watch Judge Judy. Is that a crime?
Love her. But it's back up, and thank you guys for letting us know that on Facebook. So, all right. Want to say hi to everybody very quickly. Flora, Jean, Claudia, Ira, Millet, Nancy.
Ira.
Hi. Rose, Noni. So everyone's here. Everyone's saying hi. Hey, Katie Reynolds just joined this chat.
Hi, Katie.
Her hand comes up behind the computer. Got it. Over here. Ready to go. All right. So one of the things that I thought was very interesting, I met you in Palm Springs when we were at an event for some mutual friends of ours. And it was so much fun. And it was Friday night. It was an all-white party. It was very pretty, but he was dressed in white and well-dressed and, nice looking and great food. And somebody said, RuPaul's here. I said, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And I said, I wonder if I'll get to say hi to RuPaul. So he comes over, you guys were so charming and so wonderful. And one of the things that I find interesting is that your character that you play is, wow, like very kind of big.
Yeah.
And your real life personality is a wonderful, even, calm, kind of positive thing. Yeah.
But that's the beauty of drag. It's like I'd say dark side of the moon. It's not necessarily dark. It could be, though. But I think it's important for everybody to explore all aspects of their selves. They say, know thyself. Well, you really won't know thyself unless you've used all the colors in the crayon box. That's why drag is like the Superman to your Clark Kent. So it does bring out superpowers, really. So,
Yeah.
and I'm actually an introvert masquerading as an extrovert.
Oh.
So it allowed me
Good job.
to bring that out, what I would normally. So I'm more of an observer. I know you're Scorpio, I'm Scorpio. I like to sit back and control the storyline.
I wouldn't anything about that.
But when I went to the party, I saw Lisa open there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to meet.
And I was like, I wonder if he'll say hi to me. I wonder if he'll say hi to me. What would I say? And then he came over. He was so wonderful.
I'm such a big fan. Have been watching her for years and years and years. It's appointment viewing for me. So of course, I was like, and I was the most excited about meeting her. And there were stars and stars and stars.
It wasn't.
There.
It was an amazing party.
Amazing party.
We have so some good friends of ours. One of them, Bradley Bayou, who I know a lot of you know, who's just the biggest, most wonderful teddy bear in the world, and his partner Mark, and Mark has been in the Hollywood world for a long time.
He was my agent. He was my agent 20-something years ago.
Yeah, so there were a lot of Hollywood people there. It was a really, really fun show. But one of the things that I thought was interesting was when I was reading some of the things that you had said, and that is that you said drag is not about looking like a woman. It's about looking like a character.
Yeah. It's sort of a social statement on a synthetic identity. You know, because it's. I always say you're born naked and the rest is drag.
I love that quote. I wrote that down. You do have that on T-shirts, right? I know a guy who could do that.
I don't have it on T-shirts, but it has been my creed for years. Someone told me that in probably 1981. Someone told me that. I never forgot it, but it's so true. So, drag is a fun thing, but it's not about trying to look like a woman, because women don't dress that way. Women don't dress like that. It's only super exaggerated personas that do that,
Right.
So,
and you have, with your show, it's interesting because I think a lot of people watch your show who have never had any exposure to drag. They have never seen it before. And you've really launched the careers of a lot of these guys who do this as entertainers.
Yes, we've had 100 queens pass through our hallowed halls and their careers around the world. In fact, this Thursday night, October 13th at 8 o'clock on VH1 and on Logo is our grand finale of All Stars 2.
Oh,
and we will crown a winner on Thursday night.
Very good.
Yeah, so 100 queens. We've launched and I've been doing this for a long time. But the thing I'm the most proud of is being able to launch the careers and give these kids an international audience, because our show is seen around the world. In Japan, I know you're going to Japan, and France, everywhere, Australia, South Africa, it's all over the place. And those kids, they travel all over the place to perform, and they're making, they make a great living at it.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And it must be interesting because now the guys that you have coming through grew up, I mean, they've known this, they've been exposed to it. It's not, I think in the beginning, the guys that were coming through and were kind of creating the genre, It hadn't been done before. And now you have these, you have kids that grew up watching this.
The show.
It's got to be a different thing.
Yeah, well, the first season, the queens who came on the show, they had no idea what we were going to do to them.
They were brave.
They were very brave. And
very brave.
And that was, we aired. It was February of 2009. We just finished doing the 9th season. Actually, we just finished doing the 11th cycle. So, because we've had All Stars, those shows. But February of 2009. So a lot of the kids, especially the kids who we just finished shooting, not with a gun, but with
film.
They grew up watching the show. And so it's interesting to watch them play the game, because as we produce it, as we put the show together, we try to keep it clever so we can really outsmart them.
Yes.
But it's getting a little tough because, they come ready with their...
Because they've seen it all.
They've seen it all. They come with their slogans. They come with their merchandise already made. No, they're ready.
And I just happen to have.
Yeah. It's true.
Oh
it's
my
true.
gosh.
Like Bob the drag queen who won season 8, he had a slogan called "Purse First." Purse first, and he would say it throughout the show.
Yeah.
And as soon as the show started airing, Bob the drag queen had a song called "Purse First." I think he may have had a line of purses. The whole thing. And
That's so funny because when I was on the air, and I'd be presenting purses, I would always talk about you lead with the bag.
Yeah.
Lead with the bag. Lead with the bag, which is basically what he's saying.
Purse first? Purse
I gotta
first.
meet Bob.
Yeah.
We have that in common.
That purse you were carrying last night, do you have that for sale?
I'm going to.
Oh my goodness. Isn't it really, really good. The color is so rich, and I love the texture on
The
it.
embossing is insane.
How did they do that? They must set it over, like that pine cone there. They must set leather over something like that.
Yeah, it must be in between two plates that must, come down with heat and compression.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
Are they available now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're awesome.
So awesome. What's it called?
Oh, it's just the Lisa Robertson collection, and the purse will be, we're just kind of branching out. So right now we're just doing jewelry, which reminds me I have to send a few things.
For Michelle.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I won't forget that.
Yeah, and then we're gonna, doing the Christmas stuff. And
this tree, oh my goodness! Now I haven't seen the fleece
the flocked one.
Flocked.
Yeah, you know what? I meant to get the one in the dining room out before tonight, and we had a crazy day. But if you don't tell anyone what a complete and utter mess my closet is, I'll take you upstairs and show you them in the bedroom before you go. Packed. Pinky swear?
Yes.
All right.
But I thought
no recording devices.
No, but you do. You have it in the house somewhere because you sent me a picture.
It's in my bedroom.
Oh, I see. How many trees are in this house?
Well, 4 when all is said and done. Right now I have 3 up. So
because I see one over there. There's one behind us,
and then
there's one
a
upstairs.
flocked one will go in here, but I just don't have it up yet.
Okay.
And then I have the flocked one in my room.
I love these trees.
Oh, okay. When you're back in New York. And I have everything decorated for Christmas. You and George have to come back.
Oh, come back down.
Yeah. Now that you know how to get here.
Yeah. I just got to tell you, I'm still not over these trees yet because this one here, what it is, the lights are built into the tree.
Yeah.
And those
it's like
candles,
1,000 points of light.
Are the candles also? Oh no, they're clipped on. Oh, they're brilliant.
And the battery's inside the candle, and they all go on and off with remote.
Oh my goodness.
Can you stand
it?
it?
And those are the things you were talking about last night. Those big
the Christmas starburst.
Yeah.
I love that.
Those are beautiful.
I love.
Yeah, she was telling me, Christmas is a big storyline for her. Was it always even as a kid?
When I was little, my mother always made Christmas beautiful. It was magical. I mean, we didn't have the traditional secular version of Christmas, and there are certain entities associated with Christmas that we did not ever believe were literal. And so we didn't celebrate it that way, but we celebrated Christmas, and with gifts and everything, we just, we're very clear on where they came from. And my mother always made it beautiful, and we'd get our sleeping bags and sleep up by the tree with the fire in the fireplace.
Yeah. So as soon as you left home, did you then say, now I can do all the stuff?
I think it took me a couple years, but it didn't take long. I think Christmas is so beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
And you were saying that it's something that you've really come to appreciate as an adult.
I've had to redefine what Christmas meant to me when I became an adult, because as a kid, we was po. We was po. How po was, we didn't have a lot. So it was always sad for me because we didn't have any money. We barely had a tree. Sometimes we'd have a tree. And it was, it made me feel bad because all the other kids had stuff and we didn't. But as an adult, I got to redefine it. I got to have fun with it. And it's interesting, we talk about this. There's a certain arc in life where, when you uncover the truths of life, initially you're hurt by it because you feel like you've been hoaxed. And then you become cynical. Some people get bitter. And then the step beyond cynical and being bitter is joy and thinking, oh, don't take it all so seriously.
You're very good at that.
You're
very good at that.
I've had to practice it. I have to remind myself. In the morning, I pray. I'm not religious, but I pray.
You're very spiritual, though.
I
have to say, I mean, in your way, you are very spiritual, and you are very grounded, and you are very aware of how you believe the universe and the energy of the universe works.
Well, I'll do whatever it takes to center myself and sort of equalize the sort of warring factors. But, I pray in the morning, I stretch in the morning, I meditate, I'll do whatever I can to find that center space. Because, there's so much in this world coming everywhere, from everywhere.
It is a little like playing in traffic.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And I think the biggest lie ever told, and I've said this before, is that it's ever going to be easy.
Right.
That someone else has it easy, that you're the only one whose life is difficult, that it should be easy, that it will ever be easy. None of those things are true. And it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means if you expect something that's never going to happen, you're going to be disappointed all the time. And in reality, as you're saying, here's my kind of my description of what Ruth said. It's not going to be easy, and there's going to be things that happen, and if you understand that and take it in stride, then you're going to end up in a really good place.
That's absolutely right. I couldn't have said it better myself. The truth is, it takes work, and it's you get a daily reprieve. When it feels like my tail grows back every single day.
Yes.
And I have to sort of shave it back down through some type of a spiritual practice, whatever it is. Some people, you want to even going on a walk or a hike or, deliberate breathing, whatever you can do.
Or listening to the soundtrack of Something Rotten.
Absolutely. What's your favorite song on that? Mine is Welcome to the Renaissance is my favorite. Yeah.
I know, because I really love It's Hard to Be the Bard.
Uh-huh.
Because he's so ridiculous. And he's like, I know that writing made me famous, but being famous is just so much more fun. And when he does that Shakespeare in the Park willpower song. Yes, it's great to see me, isn't it?
It's just so clever.
It's so funny over the top.
Oh, and that reminds me, that's the other thing, and this has always been my salvation, is laughter.
Laughter, yeah.
It's the greatest spell you could cast, is laughter. It's what talk about equalizing.
And it's one of those things where it's an automatic stress reliever. It's an automatic tension reliever. By the way, I'm going to make myself a new t-shirt now, and it says, The Rue Whisperer. I'm going to wear it all the time. Nobody else is going to know what it means. But it is so true. If you could laugh about anything, all of a sudden everything is, just better.
It really is. It's like being an ascended master, honestly, because when there are statues of Buddha where he's actually smiling and his head is cocked.
I have the laughing Buddha.
Oh, you do?
His hands were broken. I have to glue them back.
Well, you'll glue them back. But that's what that signifies, is that the state of Zen, once you go through all the levels of, the feeling betrayed by the universe or something, and then there's the bitterness and the hope, that you wind up at the laughter. You wind up with not taking it all so seriously, and that's what he's signifying.
And you feel betrayed because you feel like all of a sudden the world isn't what you thought it was going to be.
There.
And then you figure out what it is, and then you figure out that, it's supposed to be that way, and then you figure out this is what I do with it that way. Yeah. And then you get to there.
Then you get to there. That is the state of Zen. That's why there are people who are ascended masters. I was interviewed yesterday by Andy Cohen. He has a show called Now and Then. And he asked me about Tammy Faye Baker, who I knew very well and who I had idolized when I was a kid, younger, in my teens, living in Atlanta, Georgia. Because I just loved her. Because of, for obvious reasons, all the makeup, and she was a drag queen, and she'd be the first to say it.
Yeah, I think she would have.
Yes. But when I got to know her, I realized that she was like Pollyanna, and Pollyanna was definitely an ascended master, because Pollyanna, it wasn't that she didn't know about the darkness that existed, or the evil that mankind can do. She knew all about that, but she chose, and Tammy Faye, Pollyanna and Tammy Faye, chose to look on the bright side of things. And once, this is about 5 years ago, Tammy Faye, who's no longer with us, appeared in my dream. True story. She appeared in my dream and she told me, she said, Rue, focus on a person's innocence, not their guilt. And she may have said she may have said the child of God is innocent, something along those lines.
Right.
But it stuck with me because it's very easy to look and to see someone as on their their lower self.
Yeah.
But it's important to see, and the same is true of yourself also.
Right. Yeah. Give yourself a break.
Give yourself a break.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it's
Yeah.
so true. And it's one of those things where I think in a lot of cases, like, you're so hard on yourself, you can't even be nice to the next person.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's indicative. No, people who are nasty to other people, that's only a fraction of the judgment they're giving to themselves. It's an outward projection of their own inner dialogue.
and that's one of the things you and I were talking about. We were having this late night conversation the other night, which was awesome. And I loved when you were talking about social media and how, there are people on social media that, every once in a while will say something and you'll have to kind of breathe and think to yourself, that person is not really exhibiting the best of themselves, and they need to just, work on that, and that's not my deal. And it's hard to disconnect. I think sometimes people think, well, if you're someone as famous as RuPaul, then it just none of that must impact you at all. But it's not true. It impacts everyone. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, you're human, and of course you have all the emotions. But people think that because you're famous, that you're actually sort of not a human, that you're sort of a character that you can sort of graffiti on or spew your self-loathing, an outward spewing of your own self-loathing onto. But it's not true. But it does take practice to talk yourself off, breathe, laugh, repeat. And to talk again and again, to talk yourself off of that place, because you realize, oh, that has nothing. What that person has nothing to do with me. That's all you.
Yeah.
That's all you.
It's one of the. We were talking about a good friend of mine who is not with us anymore, but he was the most self-aware person I've ever met, and one of the reasons for that is that he spent years in Al-Anon, and it wasn't that his partner had a substance abuse issue. It was that he was told that was one of the best ways for him to learn how to cope and distance himself from some very difficult relationships in his life, and he really used that and he's the one who would constantly say, "Okay, Lisa, that's their deal.
Yeah.
That's not your deal.
Right.
Don't let them put that on you."
Yes.
And he's going, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll work on that."
It's interesting, all of the wisdom applies, and I recommend any 12-step program for everybody, because you don't have to be afflicted with whatever the 12-step program is trying to circumvent. The idea of 12-step programs help you process your whole being. It's like an inventory of your emotional state. And for I know for people in Al-Anon, it's a way to reconcile your own relationship with the world. Because a lot of us feel like we want to fix the world. But the truth is, you can change the world and fix the world by fixing yourself.
Yeah.
It's an inside job. So, I always say, Rue, that person is your teacher. You are not their teacher.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have a hard time breathing.
Honey,
on
you
that.
and me both. You and me both. Yep. Unless they ask. Because we all have free will,
Yeah.
And I'm from San Diego, and I went to this hippie school. I went to a lot of schools before I dropped out. But this girl once told me, I was probably 14. She said, Rue, there are angels all around you, but because you have free will, they cannot intervene unless you ask for it. So if the 3 magic words, I need help, boom, then they can swoop in there and help you the way. But your free will, you've been given free will.
Yeah.
You have to ask for it.
Okay. Different direction.
Okay.
Who are the most important people in your life?
Well, number 1 is George. George.
He's such a sweetheart.
He's lovely. He is lovely, lovely. Loves to laugh, and he's a very, very sweet, kind person. He's Australian, from Perth, Australia, and he's number 1. He's number 1. It's we have so much fun together. We get to enjoy life together. We've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you both have your own thing and do your own thing and support each other in your own things.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a huge 50,000 acre. I said 50,000 acre ranch in Wyoming. He gets mad at me because I did this Oprah interview and I said, "Oh, George has a 50-acre ranch in Wyoming," and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I said 50-acre ranch, and he's never let me forget that.
And he never will.
Never will. Never will. But it's 50,000 acres, and so he does his thing. Mm-hmm. I do my thing, and then we see each other. Twice a month, once every 2 months, something like that. Well, actually, I saw him. He's here now, here in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. But we saw each other 2 weeks ago in Vegas. We went to see Celine Dion.
Oh, I love her.
Love. It was the greatest show.
Love her.
Greatest show. And we had tickets. We were like, we could hear her singing without the microphone. That's how close we were. And then we saw her on a Friday night, and then Saturday night we went to go see Lionel Richie.
Get out, have fun!
Oh my goodness, so many hits. It was so much fun. So much. And
you didn't call me and Katie. We could have kept you company. You could have run interference, a little crowd control.
We'll go back. We'll go back.
All right.
We'll go back. Because I want to see Mariah when she's there. And when's the last time you were in Vegas?
We were there for the jewelry show earlier this year, but we didn't really do anything except work.
We were boring.
We were boring.
What hotel did you guys stay at?
We stayed at MGM.
Yeah. And we always stay.
It's huge.
It's huge, but we always stay at the Mandarin Oriental because they don't have a casino. So you don't have to smell the smoke. You don't have to be around all the. I love the drunken girls late at night who are trying to walk on the high heels. That's my favorite. Have you ever seen the video? Go to YouTube, not right now, but later. Right. Go to YouTube and look for Drunken Vegas Walk.
I have to tell you, the one... Okay, the dress code in Vegas needs a lot of help.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have people walking around who almost look like they don't have a residence.
That was very polite of you.
Did you like that? And you're welcome.
Yes.
Because they look like they've slept in that shirt for 5 days. They're wrinkled, they're rumply, they're wearing shorts that are and they haven't brushed their hair and I'm just going, are you sleeping under a blackjack table? I mean, what is and then you see women dressing in ways I cannot imagine them dressing at home.
Right.
And there's just so much of it everywhere you look between those two types of dressing that you're just kind of overwhelmed with it. And by the way, and it's not inexpensive to go to Las Vegas, so they're spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
To go there and dress poorly.
Well, but
I just think they,
there's a way to do Vegas. First of all, you only need two nights there. 2 nights in Vegas, tops. I don't gamble.
One night in Bangkok, 2 nights in Vegas. 2
nights in Vegas, that's
my
right.
New song.
And last night he referenced chess, remember that?
Yes!
Was that the name of that show? Chess?
I think it...
Yeah. One night in Bangkok. One night in Bangkok is from the show Chess. And you know who it was written by?
No.
It's written by the two Bennies from ABBA.
Get out.
That's if anybody knows the truth about that, this is what I think. Would tell us. But the musical Chess. Okay. The music was written by Benny Anderson and Benny from ABBA.
I can't spell that.
I can't say it's a Swedish name. I know how to say Agneta and Frida were the two girls.
Well, that's the important
part. And Benny. One was Benny Anderson, and the other was Benny.
I love ABBA.
Yeah. But so Vegas. Stay at the Mandarin Oriental.
Okay, 2 nights.
2 nights.
Here's your Vegas prescription.
Yeah. Also take cabs, so you don't have to walk anywhere, and you don't have to be out there with all of the hoi polloi, all of the unwashed masses. Mm. That's not a read. I'm just keeping it real, y'all. It's just the way you do Vegas, because it could tire you out when you're around it. And you have to sort of. I take on other people's energy, whoever I'm around. So I have to be careful. So you have to make sure that you can take the energy off of you.
Yeah.
So take cabs. Yeah.
Definitely.
Once George and I went there about 6 months ago, and we because actually I can come up to Vegas. He can come down from Wyoming. It's an easy
perfect.
thing.
Yeah.
We caught helicopters from McCarran Airport to the Grand Canyon. Had lunch in the Grand Canyon.
I've always wanted to do
It is the
that.
best. It is the
Oh my gosh,
best.
I've always wanted to do that.
It's only 3 hours. It's a 3-hour excursion.
I want to do that.
You've got to come with us. We know how to do Vegas. We know how to do Vegas.
Katie, we were boring in Vegas. We just worked. All right, next time we're going with you guys.
Was the convention at the MGM?
It was at Wynn. I think, wasn't it at...
No, Mandalay.
Oh, Mandalay
Oh, the
Bay,
Mandalay
sorry.
Bay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mandalay Bay, they have Michael Jackson's show there. It is so good.
I've heard that's amazing.
I was gobsmacked the whole time.
Yeah.
And I've seen all the Cirque shows. I'm
I
not
love
that.
the
Well, I'm
Cirque.
like if you've seen 3 or 4 Cirque
Yeah.
shows, you've seen them all.
Yeah, I saw O, and the water was pretty cool.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I liked. I've seen 3 of the.
Miss Stare, you saw
I
Miss
saw
Stare.
Mystere.
Yeah.
And I saw O.
But this Michael Jackson one is Cirque Beyond.
I've heard really good things
It's
about that.
so good because the music is there and the show. It's brilliant.
I saw David Copperfield about 1.5 years ago when I was there.
What does he do? I mean, after a few tricks, what?
Well, he does. He's just. It's interesting because he has a very different energy than I thought he would have.
Right.
Because when he was younger and he was doing the TV specials, he was all, sexy and dark and
Yeah.
aggressive. And I'm thinking, how is that going to be a show?
Yeah.
I pictured him more as the guy who plays Shakespeare in Something Rotten.
Oh.
Very kind of, hey. And when I went to see the show, he actually had a very different energy, and it was just fun and pleasant, and he got people in the audience involved, and he did things, in the middle of the audience and on stage, and I really don't know how he did that stuff. I mean, it was pretty amazing.
I'm not that crazy about magic. I mean, maybe if I saw it in person,
Yeah.
it would be different. But
I think you would like it because of the energy of it.
are there naked people on stage?
No.
Well, then there you have it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll make that request next time if he can do that.
Well, I mean, if you have if you got a Vegas show, I mean, actually, Lionel Richie wasn't naked, and Celine Dion, there was no nudity, but I would think in a magic show you'd have some naked people on stage.
No, there was no nakedness.
Yeah, well,
Maybe they'll do a different magic show.
maybe they'll do a different magic
Maybe that
show.
was a different hotel.
Yeah.
Who knew?
But what? Also next to the Mandarin Oriental is Crystal. Did you guys go to Crystal's shopping center? Crystal's. It's right there where Aria is, and the Mandarin Oriental is right next to Aria, and then Crystal's, which has all top brand stores. Like they have Louis Vuitton, they have Balenciaga, they have Tom Ford, all of the top stores. It's
Right.
brilliant. It's a great shopping mall, but probably my favorite shopping
we
mall.
need to go there.
Yeah, it's great. It's absolutely great.
Very,
and then
very
the
cool.
food is so great. And then
There's amazing
You do
restaurants.
spas at the Mandarin Oriental also. They
very
have
nice.
a great spa
Good to know.
storyline. So that's what you do in Vegas.
There you go.
But gambling, I'm bored by gambling. So important people, George, my friends Randy and Fenton, who produce Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race, and they produce my talk show, which I just saw on the interweb, the Worldwide Weave, that that our show on VH1 debuted 20 years ago today on VH1.
Get out.
20 years ago. And they produced that show. I've been working with them for 30 years. I met them in the East Village in New York City 32 years ago.
Wow.
32, and we've been working together ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Michelle.
And Michelle Visage. I met Michelle.
I just saved you.
And Michelle, yes, she's number 1.
That was close. That was close.
Michelle Visage, oh my God. When you find someone who you have that thing with,
Yeah.
that it's just, when you're younger you take it for granted, but as you get older you realize, oh my goodness, we actually,
Yeah.
well, we knew early on that we had that thing because we have our podcasts, which you could go to SoundCloud and iTunes and hear our podcast, which is now weekly. But Michelle, man, oh my goodness. And of course, she was on the VH1 show, and she's on Drag Race too. What a smart chick. She is so good.
Yeah.
So good. I love
awesome.
her. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, we're going to go ahead. By the way, I just want to let you know, since
Are people watching this?
Oh yeah. In fact, here's the deal. Sandy said you watch people. I'll shop and eat and play the slots. That sounds like it. There you go. So I know that I get a little carried away with Rue because I just enjoy talking to him so much. If you have questions you would like to ask Rue, definitely you can ask them now, and I will ask them for you. By the way, a number of people are saying congratulations on the Emmy. You deserved
Oh wow!
it.
Thank you so much.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
That is cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think everybody's talking about their time in Vegas and how much they love ABBA. That's awesome on that one. You were talking about how one of the things I loved, you were talking about your mom and how when you were younger you would always perform for your mom.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if I told you this, but a few weeks ago I did Tyler Henry's show, you know, the Hollywood Medium.
Oh,
Did I tell you
yes,
that?
you did, and you said he was amazing.
He was amazing. Everything was spot on. One of the things he told me about, first of all, he had me bring, first of all, he didn't know he was going to read me, right? They don't tell him. They don't tell him. So he turns a corner. He comes to my pop-up store, which is at Hollywood and Highland, where they sell my candy bars and T-shirts. And there he is. And he is such a lovely, sweet spirit. So I gave him a pair of my mother's earrings. These were Sarah Coventry earrings from 1967. Have you ever heard of Sarah Coventry?
I have.
Oh my God. They used to give it away as gifts on game shows.
God.
Sarah Coventry. I know a lot of people may know that. Anyway, I gave him these earrings. He held them in his hand, and immediately he said, there's two women coming through, and their names start with an E, and I think they're sisters. I said, it's my mother. Of course, I don't tell him any of the stuff. And a lot of the stuff, you know, you can't Google this stuff, but it's my mother and my Auntie Norris. Anyway, he said that my mother was tickled by this ritual that I do before I go on stage. And no one knows this. Actually, I told Gloria Steinem this about 2 weeks before he relayed this message. And I don't think Tyler Henry knows Gloria Steinem. But when Gloria Steinem and I presented an award on the Emmys, she was a little nervous. I'm used to being on television. I said, you should do what I do. Whenever I go on stage, I think of my mother and how I used to perform for her in the living room. And no matter how terrible I was, she'd love everything I did. Everything. So I just felt like, I could be whatever, and I'd be awful, but she loved it.
Yeah.
So I said, you know, I always remember, I said this to Gloria Steinem, I always remember what it was like to go on stage with my mother, so I'm never nervous. I think of the audience out there as my mother, just my mother, and I do my own thing. So I told that to Gloria Steinem. So when I spoke with Tyler Henry, and he held it, and he said, your mother is tickled by this ritual you do. Aww. And I said, oh, it's the ritual is. Yeah. And I told him that story, and that's what it was. It was brilliant. It was, oh my God. And you know, the funny thing about mediums or psychics is that they don't tell you things that you don't know. What they do is they clear out the things that you should focus on. You know, they say, you know what, don't focus on all this. This is where you should focus. And that's how you use a psychic. And
I never thought of that.
I've seen psychics, if they don't tell you anything you don't already know. And I have a theory that they're actually picking up a frequency that lives in you. Because it's, you know, I don't want to go too far on this, but my mother came through, my father came through, and what a medium is, you know, humans vibrate on a low frequency. Yeah. The spirit world vibrates on a high frequency, and a medium can communicate with both. Oh. So that's what Tyler Henry is. 20-year-old kid, sweet.
I watched the show.
You watched that show.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't he fabulous?
He has just a sweet way
Lovely.
about him.
A sweet.
Really, and it's one of those things because I just look at him and think, I wonder how long he can remain that sweet and that sheltered and that innocent, and it would be so sad for me to see him lose that. Yeah. Because he's so refreshing.
So refreshing. And I know, I think he only does one reading a day, because when that frequency comes through him, it takes a lot out of him. You know, so I loved it. But yeah, it was a brilliant
So
experience.
when is that going to be on?
I don't know. I did it just a few weeks ago, and I cried. I did the ugly cry. There was a lot of there was a lot of clarity, because actually, when my mother was pregnant with me, she saw a psychic who told her that you were having a boy. Of course, this is before the you know, the thing sonogram. Yeah,
whatever, I don't know.
She's going to be a boy, and he's going to be famous. So I grew up with the knowledge that I would be famous, and that I would be a boy. One day it's going to happen.
Oh, if you just wish hard enough. Bless your heart. Oh my gosh, you're cracking me up. Oh, by the way, Lisa DePaula said, RuPaul is spot on about discovering the truths of life. Applause. Just to let you know.
Thank you.
There you go.
Well, you know, I didn't come up with any of this stuff. I'm just repeating things that I picked up along the way. You know, you know, and this is the thing. None of these truths are that difficult to find. You know.
Well,
the hard part is letting
it's
go.
the voice in a crowd.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
It's the voice in the crowd.
The hard part is letting go of a limited perception of yourself. You know, I talked about Randy and Fenton, who I grew up with in the business in the East Village, and a lot of the kids from the East Village who we were in clubs together, so talented, so gorgeous, they had it all, but they couldn't let go of the limited perception they had of themselves. You know, if they were starving artists, they stayed a starving artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they couldn't evolve into. They couldn't join the rest of us at the big kids table. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not being shady. This is an opposite, and it's always broken my heart, because I wanted to say, just take my hand, come with us. Just like in The Wizard of Oz. I love it when Dorothy says, it's my favorite movie. Dorothy says, she leans into the scarecrow and she says something like, she goes, I think I'm gonna miss you the most.
Oh.
It gets me every
It
time.
does.
Every time.
It does.
Because you've known those people, right?
Yeah.
But they couldn't come along for the rest of the journey. What is that?
No. And I think it's one of those things where in some cases they see something in you that is intriguing and they wish they could. And so they try for a little bit and then they realize that they're just not comfortable.
Right.
And it's interesting, because sometimes I think it makes them more aware of what they think they're not.
Right. And
in reality, it's just them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just them thinking that because they could be.
Sure.
You know?
That's why it's important to surround yourself around people who are encouraging, who are positive people, and who want to lift you up. You know, I'm sure you've been around people who you got some great job or something, and you could see in their eyes they're like a little envious of it. You know? Did you know that envy is between 2 people, jealousy is between 3 people? Did you know that?
No.
Envy is between 2 people.
I didn't know that.
Jealousy is between 3 people. And so that's why you can be jealous of someone's love affair. But
So you're jealous of something to someone else.
Yes.
But you're envious of what someone else has.
Exactly.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So that's, and you could see it in a friend's eyes. You have some great news, and you want to say, oh, guess what happened? You know?
Yeah.
And you could see in their eyes that they're like, oh, great. And you're like, oh, man.
Yeah, the smile stops here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. You know, and it's unfortunately it's lonely because.
But you know, it's so funny because when you're a kid, I remember this. When you're a kid, and your parents are so protective of who you hang out with. I don't want you hanging out. When I was younger, you know, my dad would say, I don't want you hanging out with them. There was when I was younger, there was this boy that I had this, you know, just crush on, and I was a teenager, and my dad he would absolutely have none of it. And I said, why? Why don't you like him? I don't like the way he carries himself. And now I understand why my parents were so particular about who my friends were, because your friends are a huge influence on you.
Yeah.
You know, and they really are. They can in a lot of cases override the influence of your family and your parents to a degree.
Sure.
But when you're young and impressionable, boy, your friends are your world. And so if you want to, I think it's one of those things where if you want to change your lifestyle, like, you know what, I've just been out goofing off and eating ice cream, and I'm hanging out with my friends who are goofing off and eating ice cream, and now I want to start working out and really be in shape. You better go get some friends who are going to share that with you.
Absolutely right.
Because, on your own, if no one else in your circle is doing it, it's really going to be hard.
Was there anything your father could have said, looking back, was there anything your father could have said that would have helped you understand what he was saying?
I don't think there was, and I think that he was trying to, because he would say, your friends show your character. Mm-hmm. Your friends are who you look to. Your friends have a huge influence on you. And at that point, I was 14, and 14 was a lot younger then. And so I don't, I just don't think I...
But also, especially with girls and boys, hormones are working in there too. I always think about my parents, I had to learn how to process my feelings on my own the hard way by hitting my head up against something really hard before I really got it. But I'm thinking about young people, and if there's something you could say, if you could create a dialogue where they understood what you're saying, because really the truth is what you're saying, what your father was saying was that I have a sense that this is what's happening, is that there's an attraction there, mm-hmm. and that's fine, but his energy, the kid's energy, something's up with it. I don't know what, but it feels like there's a darkness there that I don't want you to get involved with. And I know that most kids can't understand that, especially with 14. Because life has these benchmarks in sevens. It's 7, 14, 21, 28.
Yeah, I started at Q when I was 28.
28. Saturn returns to the position it was in when you were born at 28. Mm. And I don't know if it actually happens every 7 years, but I know at 28, man, it was the hardest time of my life. It's with these huge turnovers. But so back to your father at 14, that is a pivotal point in your development, because you're going from a child to a young little girl, young woman.
Well, and I think, it is interesting, and I do think that as you get older, you realize, you understand the energy of the other person. As you're saying, you take on the energy of the other person, and you become more aware of, wow, I feel better when I'm around these people.
Right.
These people make me feel like I could do more.
Yeah.
And these people make me feel like I'm not good enough.
Exactly.
So I'm going to hang out with the people that make me feel like I could do more.
If you have kids, that is what you should tell them, is trust your inner GPS system.
What does your gut say?
What is your gut? Learn how to read your gut.
Don't listen to don't listen to somebody else's opinion. What's your feeling in your gut? Does it feel a little sick?
Right.
Do you feel tense? Do you feel tight? Or do you feel up?
Yeah.
Those, because I do think.
Whatever happened to that 14-year-old boy?
I don't know.
So how long did you hang out with him?
I think it was just that school year. I mean, it wasn't ever anything really serious. I just, had a huge crush on him. But
right. Well, that'll do it.
That'll do it.
That'll do it, man.
Wait, okay, so Maria asked a question for you.
The answer is 36, 24, 36.
Absolutely.
And yes, they're real.
Absolutely. Absolutely real. They're his, and he paid for them. If you weren't in the entertainment business, what else would you do?
You know what? That's a great question. I'm in show business. I do drag. I never thought I would be doing drag. Drag was a vehicle for me to do show business and to be creative. Scorpio, the motto is I create. And I love creating things. I'm in drag very little time of my career. Most of the time I'm putting together music or producing something or putting together some other project, or we're sitting around a table with my collaborators and we're figuring out the equation or the answer to an equation. So I would be doing that in some other way. I love figuring out. That's why I love that show, The Prophet, another Scorpio.
Oh my gosh, I was watching that the other day because you were talking about him.
Yeah, you would love him.
Yeah.
Marcus Lemonis, when you watch the show, he's this billionaire. It's on CNBC, I think on Tuesday nights at 10. He goes into failing businesses and offers them a deal, and the opportunity for him to fix what's wrong with the business.
Right.
And it's so great to watch him work his magic. And he's a Scorpio, and that is, I love doing that. So if I weren't doing what I do, I'd be doing that in some other way, whether it's being a teacher or whether it's creating some business that actually helps people.
My gosh, we're alike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I was going to say, I said, when I retired, I want to teach history, but I want to teach it my way and make it really interesting.
That would be so great.
Because I love it, and there's so many amazing stories, and there's so many things to talk about. And I went, when I studied history in school, I couldn't believe how boring they made it. I'm like, how are you making this boring?
Yeah.
How are you missing all the important parts?
Yeah.
So I always said, let's go back and teach.
Is it because they've homogenized it so they don't offend the children? Is that why they did it? Or is it just the people teaching it, it's their personality?
I think that traditionally history has been this person on this date.
Yeah.
And this happened. And it's just been like a rote memorization thing, as opposed to studying the evolution of historical events through the key people that created those changes, and telling the stories of those people's lives, and what made them interesting, and what motivated them, and how they acted out, and how, all those kinds of things. I mean, when you study Michelangelo, and I went through an entire art history course, and she never mentioned that he was a tortured soul, about his sexuality. They never mentioned how he resented the popes, and he hated being told what to do, and he hated being owned, and he hated having to do what they wanted, and he hated the fact that he would start something for one, and then the next guy would come in, and that was all trash, and he had to start over again. And he hated the fact that he was socially inept. He was horrible socially. He smelled bad. He wore the same boots over and over. He was just not an attractive guy, and he had this martyr complex. It was constantly, poor me, and supporting my family, and it's just so, there were so many great things about Michelangelo.
I didn't know that.
And he resented Raphael, and he resented the handsome that everybody loved, and he was like this, it's ridiculous, and I'm so much better, and don't you dare let him see my work, and and you're just going, he was an interesting guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot going on there, and you're going to tell me, well, at this date, Michelangelo did the Judgment, and you're just going, seriously?
Right.
Yeah. So
that's why Hamilton is so interesting. I think that's
I
why.
want to see that.
You haven't seen it yet?
No.
You will. You'll see it.
Can you hook your sister up?
I can, sure. Yeah, but the touring. When are they starting the touring show? It's
I don't know. I would see it wherever. Because I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Oh, by the way, Linda's saying that she believes that in some manner mediums do read what you already know. She's agreeing with you on that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I've seen psychics and mediums all my life. Once though, years ago, before I met George, I needed some clarity on why I was always attracted to the same type of man.
Well, take a number, baby.
Well, my father...
Now serving!
Yeah, well, it was because of I had unresolved issues with my father. It's not rocket science, but I was always attracted to people who were very charming, but that's where it stopped. They were, very charming. But, and then I remember to pray for a sweet, sensitive man, someone not like my father.
Yeah.
And that is exactly when George appeared.
He's so true.
Or it was probably that there were people around that were appearing, but I couldn't see them because I was fixated on this one thing, or to resolve this one thing.
Right.
But and then I met George 22 years ago.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You guys are so great together.
Yeah.
Oh, Antonella has a good question.
Antoinella?
Yes.
I love that. I think I went to high school with her.
What helps you go beyond your limited perception of yourself?
That's a great question. It is through meditation, because it's almost like hitting the Google Earth button when you are meditating. Even if you can manage to meditate for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Because what happens is, like you hit that Google Earth button, and all of a sudden you raise out of your body and you see yourself. You see yourself and you go, oh, and you see the whole landscape of your life. And like, oh, there's that, and there's that. Oh, I see where that happened. And you see certain patterns that you...
So if someone wants to learn how to meditate, what's a good way to do that?
A good way to meditate is, first of all, you have to become conscious of being conscious. I know it doesn't make any sense, but go with me on this.
Okay.
you become aware of your own consciousness. And that awareness of your consciousness is who you really are. So this body, that's why I say you're born naked and the rest is drag. Mm-hmm. This body is just like an outfit that you'll wear and you'll toss it off, and maybe you'll wear another one. Maybe you'll do something else that this operating system can't even understand, right? Mm-hmm. So the part of you that is aware of your thoughts, that is aware that you are in this body, in this place, that's who you really are. So I know, don't try to make it make sense with your operating system, because it won't make sense. Just try to take this in.
Right. This is okay. Meditation is more high def, and this is more mono.
Exactly. Exactly. So when I meditate, what I do is I close my eyes and I breathe, and I sit, with my legs like this, and I do the thing. My legs usually crossed, and I do like that. I sort of imagine myself. I learned this from Eckhart Tolle books. He says, imagine a mouse hole, and you're waiting for the mouse to come out of the hole, and you're looking at the mouse hole, and you're waiting for the mouse to come out of the hole. Your thoughts, that's the mouse. That hole is really sort of you. So imagine what your next thought is going to be, and you say, okay. And that quietness, that stillness, while you're waiting for the thought, that is the beginning of your awareness of your own consciousness.
I just had a thought. In that moment, when you were quiet, and I was quiet, because it's kind of unusual for me to be quiet, and that is that with all the technology in the world today, there's never quiet. You're never alone. You're never out of reach. There's always someone who needs you, always someone contacting. Your phone is dinging, your phone is ringing, your emails are coming in, you're watching, you're downloading, you're always interacting. You are never, ever truly alone unless you make the effort to do that. And I think whatever you do with that moment of quiet, if you meditate or if you just kind of don't listen to all the noise in the world for a few minutes, I think a lot of us are just on sensory overload.
Yeah.
And I think it would be hugely helpful if everyone did just take a few minutes to be still and be quiet and be alone. And that'll probably mean earplugs and locking yourself in the bathroom. That's okay.
Or not.
Or not. If everybody else in the house is running around, that's what that may be. But I think, whatever you do with that few minutes and however you approach it, it would never be a bad thing for your psyche.
It would not be a bad thing. In fact, years ago, before I was really serious about meditating, someone said it's like sitting on the banks of a river and watching the river go by. And that river, those are your thoughts. And you just sit and you just watch them. You don't dip a cup in and drink it. You just absolutely just watch it. And you're aware of your thoughts going by. And as time goes by, that part of you that is the awareness of your consciousness becomes stronger, and you're able to find it quicker. And I always think about the Google Earth button, where you just hit it and you just whoop, and you go, oh, that's Earth. Then that's me on Earth.
There I am.
There I am. And everything, actually, when you see a picture of Earth, it looks so peaceful and unchanged and quiet, and it looks the same as it always has.
Yeah.
And if you can find it, if you start practicing that a little bit every day, you'll develop musculature that can help you get there quicker. And not even that it's quicker. Two of my sisters are teachers, and I asked them one of them about the ADHD phenomenon with kids.
Yeah, well.
And the thing is, a lot of them grew up with mothers and fathers who having it all, and it's like, oh, we're late. Do you have your backpack? Get your lunch. Okay. On the phone. So yeah, I'll be there in a second. That's their everyday life. So these kids,
it's the churn.
It's the churn. They don't know how to sort of quiet themselves down and not let any of that stuff matter.
It's almost, for some reason, I think of everything in analogy. Sorry, but if you're in the ocean and a big wave comes and knocks you down, and it's just throwing you around, I think that's what a lot of our days are like.
Yeah.
And when you're the child and you're not controlling the situation, you really feel you feel the churn and you have no control over it, and it's crazy. And I do think that being able to rise above that is learning to surf.
Yeah.
You are,
oh, wow.
You're emotionally surfing.
I love that.
And it's one of those things that completely changes your perspective, and it's the same wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think most of those kids, they just learn that practice from their parents because of the whole having it all phenomenon. It's like, you know what? Having it all ain't all it's cracked up to be.
No.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
You know, did you ever read that Maureen Dowd book called Are Men Necessary? She's that New York Times.
No. I'm going to read it now.
It's pretty brilliant because it chronicles the feminist movement and where it stalled. And long story long is that the feminist movement, the original one, people got to the top and they got the jobs and they thought, this is hard. I don't want, so with these women with, MBAs and big degrees and all these jobs, they said, you know what? I'm going to have a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let my husband pay the bills because having it all is hard work.
Well, it's interesting because we were just talking, and by the way, I'm going to have to make a small demand of you.
Okay, what is it?
And that is that you come back for another chat.
Well, I can talk. I can talk.
Honey, you can talk.
I can talk.
All good, you can talk.
Yeah.
But here we're running out of time,
Yeah.
So we're going to have to come back with a little more talking later. But one of the things we were talking about, so we were talking about Brad and Angelina, and how that makes me so sad.
It broke my heart.
It's one of those things where you're going, I know that it's nonsensical. It's not like I know them, I don't. But it really makes me sad. And you think if there were ever two people who had it all.
Yeah.
And it just proves that, as we've said all along, you never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Right.
The car that you drive, the house that you live in, the clothes that you wear, do not decide how happy you are. And the more you have, the more you really do have to work at it. And it's just one of those things where I think, a good bit of balance and kind of going, well, okay, where am I now?
Right.
What do I like about where I am now?
Yeah.
What should I appreciate about where I am now? And what should I change about where I am now?
Yeah.
Without just blindly.
Well, that's what the meditation does. Meditation forces you to go, what makes me happy? Like even we're talking about the kids with their own GPS system and parents teaching them how to read their own gut. That's what the meditation does, is it teaches you to sit in that space and remember what you came here for. Remember what your mission statement was when you came here, which was, laugh, breathe, repeat. It's simple.
It is.
It's very simple. Don't take life so seriously. I learned that from my 10th grade teacher, Mr. Pinnell, who I'm still friends with. Him. He told me, he said, RuPaul, don't take life too effing serious. I didn't get it then. I didn't understand it then, but a few years later, I went, I know exactly what he means.
There you go.
Exactly. And that's how I live my life.
Well, I really do want you to come back again.
I will. I love it.
And next time I won't be heading to the airport early in the morning, so you guys can stay over. Hang out. We'll go to a great breakfast place.
I love it. We're going right back to New York tonight.
I know. It's so sweet of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love it.
It was so much fun. Thank you so much.
I think it was fun for them too. I mean, we covered a lot of area.
We did.
Yeah.
We'll come back and cover it again.
We will.
That was an overview. There's a lot. Ruth, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Katie and I are heading to the plane early in the morning. We're going to go to Japan, and as much as possible, we're going to be doing live video chats from Japan, from Kyoto. It's 12 hours ahead, so we'll see how that goes, and we'll see
13. Wow.
13 hours ahead, so we'll see how that goes. And we'll continue we're going to offer something tomorrow on Facebook, so watch your Facebook tomorrow, because it's going to have to be kind of when we're in between planes. We're not sure we're going to be able to do that. We have it all set up. And then we're going to continue to offer things as we're there, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So we will definitely see you then. And this is only the first installment of Rue.
That's right. Part 2.
Yeah.
Domo arigato.
Thanks, honey.
Bye.